For many of us, the Karin Futo harkens back to a much simpler time. Media was physical, you couldn't finance a hand-delivered burrito, and the world didn't burn as much. Whether you remember the very first Futos or the first time you saw a Futo, a long glance into those headlights can take you back, if only for a moment. Even now, with our future fed to us through troughs of shareholder-approved payment plans and algorithmic social engineering, the Futo remains, reminding us that not everything is terrible. That's because this plucky little coupe is the very definition of less is more. Underneath its hood, you'll find a small but impressive 16-valve twin-cam 4-cylinder with 4 throttle bodies, the latter of which made it a total of 20 valves, as Karin so lovingly advertised on the side of some models. What the engine lacked in power, it well made up for in reliability, with many examples still on the road today, more than 40 years later. However, being near invincible isn't what separates the Futo from the rest of Karin's lineage. Starting life as a sport coupe variant of the Astrope, Karin's modest answer to the Dinka Blista became enshrined in automotive culture. Not so much for racing, despite having competed in club and rally, but for the kind of motorsport that cracks bumpers and balds tires faster than your average Minimus owner: drifting. The Futo's lightweight construction, manual transmission with the most phallic stick ever, and rear-wheel drivetrain were all key ingredients for a low-budget drift car. But of course, it wasn't the USDM Futo that had the drift enthusiasts and Japanophiles frothing at the mouth, as Karin had another ace up their sleeve. The Futo GT, a sportier-looking Futo with a factory body kit, spoiler, carbon fiber hood, roll cage, and even a complimentary tow hook. While it still had the same engine as the base Futo, Karin proudly pasted the car's specs onto the side of the GT's bodywork. Bragging about being naturally aspirated is how the kids say, crazy work. We all know the real Futo, famous for carving up mountain passes and melting hearts, was withheld from us for decades. Yet again, Karin of Japan gave its people the best version, whilst giving the rest of the world a firm middle finger. But now the legal floodgates have opened, and we can finally experience the Futo GTX. You may well ask yourself what kind of goodies were kept from our white bread USDM version. For starters, it's got pop-up headlights. That makes any car sporty. It also comes standard as a 3-door hatch, so more cargo space. And it's got belt covers. Oh yeah. So the GTX, GT, and regular Futo were the same car the whole time. Who would have even thought? But that's because the Futo was already the gold standard, even without the concealed headlights and glass hatch. Karin got it right the first time by building them small, light, and just powerful enough to sometimes go sideways, engineering one of the cheapest thrills money could buy. And then, the Futo vanished into the thick fog of Japan's lost decade. By the 90s, the Japanese GDP was on the rocks, forcing companies like Karin to find creative new ways to keep the lights on. After crunching the numbers, Karin's accountants decided some fat would need to be trimmed if they wanted to stay competitive. That meant the Astro-based sports coupe had to go. Other prestigious models like the Prairie weren't spared either. Keep in mind, this is the same company that then went on to pit 2 of its own divisions against each other to make 2 rally-bred sports cars. So financial responsibility was never really Karin's strong suit. It took more than 25 years for Karin to find a fix for the Futo-sized hole in its catalog. You could argue the Futo had a few spiritual successors over the years, but you'd also be arguing that front-wheel drive and rear-wheel drive are basically the same thing. And they're not. Enter 2013. Social media mutated from computer to smartphone, and slowly dissolving into your couch became socially acceptable with serialized television. Despite all of this change, Karin took us back to the 80s when it released the bombshell that was the S95. This car broke the rules. An entry-level lightweight sports car with rear-wheel drive, all for less than the price of a Euros. Though it may not look it, the S95 is as close to a modern-day Futo as you can get. Unlike your average grapeseed homestead, when Karin keeps things in the family, the result is something beautiful. Karin gave its RS division carte blanche when it came to developing its gearbox and punchy boxer engine. Yet Karin also knew when to step in and prevent the team from doing something sultany, like making it all-wheel drive. These decisions created a driving experience that was difficult to learn but rewarding to master. It gave the driver a connection to the road, second to being ejected from their windshield. And for what the engine lacked in size, it made up for in direct power to the wheels, granting its driver a smoke show on demand. Since its inception, there hasn't been a pop-up meet with less than 5 of these cars ever since. You can also be sure there are people out there making these things wider and faster than they have any right to be. For now, it seems the Futo lineage is in good hands. One of these cars is a family sedan, minus the family, and the other screams, "Get out of my room, Mom!" But they still share the same values and purpose. The affordability and accessibility of these two sports coupes is unequivocal, meaning the Futo and S95 are the poster child / desktop images of car mod culture overall. As to whether or not that's a good thing, well, that's all up to you.